Hello, my name is Aisha. I want to share with you my story about learning English. This is not just a story, but also a journey filled with emotions, struggles, and finally, small victories. I grew up in a small village where everyone spoke our native language. English was something I only saw in books or heard on TV. It felt like a distant world, far from my reality. But I always knew that learning English was important. I knew that English could open doors to new opportunities, new friends, and a brighter future. When I was 12 years old, I decided to learn English. I was so excited at first. I imagined myself speaking fluently, understanding movies without subtitles, and reading books in English. But soon, I realized that it was not going to be easy. The first time I opened an English book, I felt lost. The words were strange, the sentences confusing. I couldn't understand anything. I felt like crying. But then, I remembered why I wanted to learn English. I wanted to be strong, independent, and to make my dreams come true. So I wiped away my tears and decided to try again. Every day after school, I would sit alone in my room and study. I started with the alphabet, then learned basic words like apple, dog, and sun. I practiced saying them out loud, even if it felt silly. At first, my pronunciation was terrible, but I didn't give up. I repeated the words over and over until they sounded right. Learning English was not just about studying. It was also about changing my habits. I began watching English cartoons, even though I didn't understand much. I would listen carefully and try to catch a few words. Slowly, very slowly, I started to understand more. There were times when I felt so frustrated. My friends were playing outside, but I was stuck inside with my English books. Sometimes I wanted to give up. But then, I would remind myself of my dreams. I wanted to travel, to meet people from different countries, and to be able to speak with them in English. So I kept going. One day I tried to write my first sentence in English. It was very simple. My name is Aisha, but when I saw it on paper, I felt so proud. It was a small step, but it was my step. I was learning. As I continued my journey, I discovered some tips that helped me a lot. First, I learned that it's okay to make mistakes. Every mistake is a lesson. Instead of feeling bad when I got something wrong, I tried to learn from it. I also learned the importance of practice. I practiced speaking English every day, even if it was just for a few minutes. Sometimes I would talk to myself in English, pretending I was having a conversation with someone. It felt strange at first, but it really helped me become more comfortable with the language. Reading was another thing that helped me. I started with simple books for children. The stories were easy to understand, and the pictures helped me guess the meaning of the words. As I got better, I moved on to more difficult books. There were moments when I felt so alone. No one in my family spoke English, so I had to figure everything out by myself. It was hard, but it made me stronger. I learned to rely on myself, to be patient, and to keep trying no matter what. Sometimes I would cry at night because I felt so frustrated. Learning a new language is like climbing a mountain. There are times when you feel like you're not getting anywhere, but you have to keep going, step by step. Every small victory is a step closer to the top. As I got older, I started to understand more English. I could watch movies without subtitles and understand most of what was happening. I could read books and enjoy the stories. I even started writing my own stories in English. Looking back, I realized that learning English has not just taught me a new language, it has taught me about patience, determination, and the power of believing in yourself. I learned that no matter how hard something seems, if you keep going, you will get better. There are still many things I want to learn. My English is not perfect, but that's okay. I'm still learning, still growing, and still moving forward. And I know that if I keep trying, I will reach my goals. So, if you are trying to learn English or anything else that feels difficult, remember my story. Remember that it's okay to feel frustrated, it's okay to cry, and it's okay to take your time. The important thing is to keep going, to believe in yourself, and to never give up. Learning English has been a long journey for me, but it has also been a beautiful one. Every word I learned, every sentence I wrote, and every conversation I had in English has brought me closer to my dreams. And I know that if I can do it, so can you. Keep going, keep learning, and never give up on your dreams. You are stronger than you think, and you are capable of achieving anything you set your mind to. As I continued my journey to learn English, I found that some days were easier than others. There were days when everything seemed to click. I understood new words quickly. I could form sentences more easily, and I felt proud of how far I had come. But there were also days when nothing made sense. On those days, I felt like I was back at the beginning, struggling with the simplest words. One of those difficult days came when I was trying to learn past tense verbs. English has so many rules, and the past tense seemed especially tricky. I would say goed instead of went, or runned instead of ran. I couldn't understand why the rules changed so often. It was frustrating. I remember sitting at my desk, trying to write a simple story in the past tense. But every sentence seemed wrong. I crossed out words, rewrote sentences, and still nothing felt right. Tears started to fill my eyes. I wanted so badly to get it right, but no matter how hard I tried, it seemed impossible. I felt so alone in that moment, sitting there with my English book, feeling like I would never be able to speak or write correctly. But then, something inside me changed. I remembered how far I had already come. I remembered the first time I wrote my name as Aisha and how proud I felt. I reminded myself that learning a language is like building a house. You have to start with a strong foundation, and then, brick by brick, you add more. Sometimes a brick doesn't fit, and you have to try a different one. But eventually the house starts to take shape. I took a deep breath, wiped away my tears, and decided to take it one step at a time. I told myself it was okay to make mistakes, because that's how I would learn. I wrote the story again, and this time I didn't worry about making it perfect. I just tried to tell the story as best as I could. When I finished, I read it out loud. It wasn't perfect, but it was mine, and I had done it. As time went on, I found new ways to make learning English more fun and less stressful. I started to think of English as a friend, not an enemy. I would talk to this friend every day, even if it was just a few words. I would ask myself simple questions like, what did I eat today? Or how was my day? And answer them in English. At first it was hard, but with practice it became easier. One thing that helped me a lot was writing a diary in English. Each night before bed, I would write a few sentences about my day. Sometimes I would write about what I learned in school. Other times I would write about my feelings. Writing in English every day helped me practice my grammar, spelling, and vocabulary. It also became a way for me to express my emotions. On days when I felt sad or frustrated, writing helped me feel better. Another tip I discovered was the power of listening. I started listening to English songs, watching English movies, and even trying to understand the news in English. At first, it was overwhelming. The words flew by so quickly and I could barely keep up. But I kept listening, and over time, my ears started to recognize more words. I would sing along to the songs, even if I didn't understand every word. The more I listened, the more I understood. Listening became one of my favorite ways to learn because it was like discovering a new world. There was a moment when everything started to change for me. It was a day I will never forget. I was at school, and our teacher asked us to stand up and introduce ourselves in English. My heart started to race. I was so scared. What if I made a mistake? What if everyone laughed at me? But then, I remembered all the nights I had spent practicing, I remembered the stories I had written, the songs I had sung, and the sentences I had spoken to myself. I took a deep breath and stood up. With my voice trembling, I said, "Hello, my name is Aisha." The words came out slowly, but they came out right. I am 12 years old, and I like to read books. My classmates were quiet, listening to every word. I felt nervous, but I also felt strong. I was speaking in English, and people understood me. When I finished, the teacher smiled and said, "Well done." Aisha, I sat down, my heart still pounding, but I felt so proud. I had done it. I had spoken English in front of my class, and I had done it well. After that day, something changed inside me. I started to believe in myself more. I realized that learning English was not just about studying or memorizing rules. It was about having the courage to try, even when it felt scary. It was about believing that I could do it, even when it seemed impossible. There were still challenges ahead, of course. There were still days when I felt like giving up, but now I had a new strength inside me. I knew that if I kept going, if I kept trying, I would get better. I wasn't just learning English, I was learning about myself. I was learning that I was stronger than I thought, and that I could handle any situation, even when I felt alone. As I continued to learn, I started to set new goals for myself. I wanted to write longer stories in English. I wanted to have conversations with native speakers. I wanted to be able to think in English without translating everything in my head. These goals seemed big, but I knew I could reach them if I took it one step at a time. One thing that helped me reach these goals was finding people to practice with. I found a pen pal online, someone from another country who wanted to learn my language while helping me with English. We would write letters to each other, sometimes in English, sometimes in my native language. It was exciting to share our cultures and help each other learn. Having someone to practice with made learning more fun and less lonely. I also started to join online groups where people were learning English. We would chat about our favorite books, movies, and songs. Sometimes we would even play games in English. These conversations helped me practice speaking and listening in a real-life context. I started to feel more comfortable using English in everyday situations. As my English improved, I began to notice how much my confidence had grown. I was no longer afraid to speak up in class or to ask questions when I didn't understand something. I even started to help my classmates with their English homework. It felt good to share what I had learned and to see them improve as well. One day, I was asked to give a speech at school about my experience learning English. At first, I was nervous, but then I thought about how far I had come. I remembered all the struggles, the tears, and the moments of triumph. I decided that I wanted to share my story, to inspire others who might be facing the same challenges. As I stood in front of the class, I took a deep breath and began to speak. I told them about the first time I tried to learn English, how difficult it was, and how I almost gave up. I shared the tips that had helped me, like practicing every day, listening to English as much as possible, and not being afraid to make mistakes. I told them about the importance of believing in yourself, even when things seem impossible. When I finished, the room was silent for a moment. Then my classmates started clapping. Some of them even came up to me afterward to thank me for sharing my story. They told me that they felt inspired to keep going with their own English studies. It was one of the proudest moments of my life. As I continue my journey, I know that there will still be challenges ahead. There will still be times when I feel frustrated or unsure of myself. But now I have the tools to overcome those challenges. I know that I am strong enough to keep going, no matter what. Learning English has changed my life in so many ways. It has given me the confidence to face new challenges, the courage to keep going when things get tough, and the belief that I can achieve anything I set my mind to. It has opened up a world of possibilities, from making new friends to exploring new ideas. If you are on your own journey to learn English, I hope my story can help you. I hope it reminds you that it's okay to struggle. It's okay to struggle. It's okay to feel frustrated. And it's okay to take your time. Learning a language is a journey, and every step you take brings you closer to your goal. Remember that you are not alone. There are millions of people around the world who are learning English just like you. Some days will be hard, but don't give up. Keep going, keep trying, and keep believing in yourself. You have the strength to do this, even when it feels difficult. As I write this, I am still learning, still growing, and still moving forward. My English is not perfect, but it's much better than it was when I started. And I know that as long as I keep practicing, keep learning, and keep believing in myself, I will continue to improve. So wherever you are in your journey, I want you to know that you can do this. You can learn English, and you can achieve your dreams. Just take it one step at a time. And remember that every step, no matter how small, is a step forward. Keep going. Keep going. Keep learning. And never give up on your dreams. This is not the end of my story, because learning is a lifelong journey. I will continue to work hard, to challenge myself, and to grow. And I hope that you will too.